more 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 96.5 thechill.com.
Grow more memories with Heartland Bank. Banking for every stage of life. Because strong relationships build strong communities. Heartland Bank, helping your dreams grow. Visit hbtbank.com or click our banner at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, I'm Bob Raddings with the Bob Raddings family of dealerships. See our huge inventory of about 2,000 vehicles by clicking on our ad at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
WTIM. You're listening to the WTIM Morning Show on your information station, and the show is sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kama, and I have two members of the Christian County Prevention Coalition joining me as a part of this next conversation. I'll introduce each of them one at a time. On my left, Chase Holbrook is what he goes by. Chase, good morning.
Good morning.
And then over to my right, I've got Nick Banning. Nick, good to have you on too.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, good to have you both on. Good morning. And first, I know we have the Prevention Coalition on every couple of months or so. First, I'd love if you could give just an overall summary of what the Christian County Prevention Coalition is.
Yeah, sure. So we kind of focus on, seeing what needs are for the community, right? And we're kind of based around mental health, substance abuse conditions, seeing where we can help with that. Also, we got this back to school event coming up, recovery event later. We try to do things, put on events, stuff like that. We also fund some of the rents for the recovery houses here in town. So, we try to do a little bit of everything, I guess you could say.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. And what I find really powerful is something you mentioned about trying to, figure out what the community's needs are and really work towards that. I know you have your, I think, twice a month meetings, and we'll talk about that certainly a lot more later, but you have the meetings. Anything else you folks do specifically to try to, figure out what those needs in the community are?
I think we got quite a few different organizations that are on the coalition. So I think it's partnering with the health department, Taylorville Memorial Hospital, the YMCA. I think we're able to get a good input with all these different organizations. They kind of give feedback to what they see for needs for the community. And I think that's kind of how we base it off of. So.
Yeah, and I know with Jay Bollinger as well. I know he's a part of the Prevention Coalition and actually runs TMH. Actually, I was originally under the impression he was going to be the one in here this morning, but yeah. So I with all those connections, I think it's I think it's great you have those connections and are able to use all of that to do what it is you folks do. In terms of local resources, in terms of recovery, talk about how the Prevention Coalition kind of works in that sense to help people in the community.
Sure. So, we kind of just send people, steer them towards some of the resources we have in the community. So, we got AA meetings here in town. We got NA meetings here in town. NA meets at 8:30 to 9:30 every morning except Sundays, and 6 to 7 p.m. every night. And then AA, their schedule's a little bit different. They do Mondays at 7:30 in the evening, Wednesdays at 7, Thursdays at 7:30, Fridays at 7:30, and Saturday at 7:30. And that is at the First Presbyterian Church at 116 East Franklin.
Yeah. So for AA, that was 5 days of the week you mentioned. Is that correct?
Let me see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. And in NA, they try to have something every day of the week.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And we got CR here in town at Davis Memorial. That's every Tuesday. And we have a meal for everybody. That starts at 5:30. And then 6:30, we have a large group. And 7:30, we have a small group. And that's anybody's welcome. With CR, the thing about CR is that it's not just for substance abuse issues. It's for anybody that has a problem, a hurt, a habit, a hang up, right? And that could be food issues, it could be codependency issues, it could be traumas, death of a loved one. It doesn't necessarily have to be about substance abuse. It's for everybody. You know, if you're not perfect, we like to say, if you're not perfect, you're welcome, you know? So
yeah. And what stands out to me is just the broad range of challenges that you folks, kind of work with and work to help people with. And it just seems really powerful.
Yeah. It helps a lot of people. I know it helped me. It's helped him. It saved our life, you know?
Yeah. And on that last point, I do want to actually turn our attention over to Chase, because we were talking a little bit about very, very briefly about kind of your experiences with this, and that it sounded like you wanted to share with our listeners how kind of your story, and I want to give you the space to do that.
All right. Well, thank you very much. So recovery was something that I thought that I needed for a long time in my life. I thought I could, just quit doing drugs on my own, and I'd have bouts of periods where I was successful with it, but nothing long lasting. And I always found myself running back to alcohol, drugs of any kind, nicotine, and I also included it in that. And for me, that was I finally I had an aha moment, if you will, where I lay dying in the middle of the broad daylight in Pana, and just across the street from BP, and nobody was coming to save me. I had actually gotten a hold of my grandmother at the time, who had moved up here, and she was on the way to get me, but it's not like a name. But it turned out that I was dying, and I realized that I needed to do something different, or I wasn't gonna get to live anymore. I was gonna lose my loved ones, and they were gonna lose me. And so I didn't go right into recovery at that point. I had been mentioning a friend of mine had been encouraging me to go check out CR. He was like, "Oh, go check it out." And I'm like, okay. So I finally went, and about the third or fourth time going, just having nothing else to do with my life and having no direction, I was listening to them go over the 12 steps. And I was like, oh, it was like it clicked in my head. I was like, oh, there's a program. There's something that I can do. Like, there's structure. And I started listening to suggestions from other people to get a sponsor, somebody to help guide me through the steps and to walk through them and to work them honestly. And from there, it didn't happen overnight, but within a year, about a year or so after starting to work the program and being clean from IV meth use, actually, is one thing. I ended up putting down cigarettes and weed too. So I have over 3 years of just over 3 years of continuing abstinence from all drugs. And but I realized when working the program that my problem wasn't the drugs. That was a symptom of the problem. The problem was, I was holding on to things like anger and hate and fear. I was letting these things run my life, and the solution to it was not of the worldly nature. It was because I kept trying to do things that I thought would work. Therapy. Not that therapy's bad, but therapy, pills, religion. None of those things were working for me. That the problem that I had was a spiritual one. I was spiritually sick. And in order to essentially get better, I was going to have to be willing to let go of the things that were holding me back, like fear and anger or resentments and grudges, and to learn to practice things of the spiritual nature, which is like love and forgiveness, not just for others, but for myself. And that journey, it's an everyday thing. And I didn't just get clean and then go, oh, I don't got to work the program anymore, or I'm cured and I'm healed, but that I now have a system that as long as I use it on a day-to-day basis, works. And that brings hope to other people. It's worked for me so far up to this point. I couldn't imagine, after everything I've tried in my life, doing anything different right now. Because what do they say? Don't try to fix something that ain't broken. Yep. If it's working, why change it? And
that is extraordinary, Chase. I appreciate and commend you sharing that right now. When you were talking about, finding out about like the recovery program you mentioned and the 12-step process. What about it sort of led you to believe, oh wait, this could maybe work? Was it the structure? Was it just kind of hearing about something in general? What was that like?
It was desperation. I was desperate for something different. And, having thought that I had tried everything up to that point. I'm 35 now. I was 32 or so when I got into recovery. I was just like, I had tried everything. I don't consider myself to be dumb by any means. I'm fairly intelligent, and a lot of people also think of me in the same sense. So when I started considering with an open mind that maybe my pride, right, my thoughts were holding me back, that maybe I should do something different, and that difference is following, in my mind, or in my opinion, God's way instead of my way. So that led me to really questioning whether or not I was being Christ-like, right? Was I being forgiving? No, I was holding on to a lot of anger and grudges. Was I worried about things? Was I living in fear? I've spent a lot of my life homeless. And, I probably have about 6 or 7 years of homelessness under my belt. And, so survival's been a big thing for me, scared of, and so just in the program, the first step was admitting that I was powerless and my life was unmanageable. And I felt powerless. I couldn't stop. Every time I'd go out and I'd be using, and, I even stopped gambling over 3 years ago. I haven't gone to a slot machine in 3 years either. And, but it's like, I couldn't stop. I would start and I'd want to stop. I don't know how many other people out there who ever went out drinking for a night and then woke up the next day like, oh, I'm never doing that again, and then found themselves doing it again. Or, smoking cigarettes. It's like, oh, I really want to quit. I really need to quit, but I can't. It's the compulsive nature of the disease and the mental health that goes along with it that kept leading me back. So it was really easy for me to surrender to the idea that there was something else that I hadn't tried yet that might work for me, but does work for others. Seeing the evidence that there was millions of other people who have worked the program and found long lasting, not just sobriety, but peace of mind and serenity, gave me hope. And I was like, you know what, if they can do it, and there are people who out there, there's gotta be people worse than me. And I thought I was bad. If they can do it, then there's hope for me. But in order for that hope to work, I have to be honest with myself in how I work the program. Like, am I doing it to the best of my ability? Am I being thorough with my inventory? And that's why I love the steps so much, because it doesn't ask me to be perfect. It just asks me to aim for perfection and then look for progress. Right. So that way, when I fall short, I can take that down and I can go, oh, okay, do I owe amends to myself, to others? And just be easy on myself. Take it one day at a time. Life's, like I said earlier, a journey. It's not a sprint. It's not a race. Yeah. Something to be enjoyed.
Yeah. Well, that's, again, extraordinary stuff. And I'm glad you shared that with our listeners, because a lot of guests have talked about, having to recover from drug and alcohol related challenges, and hearing a success story from someone involved, I think is going to be powerful for a lot of them. So I appreciate you sharing that. That was Chase Hallbrook. He, along with Nick Banning, are members of the Christian County Prevention Coalition, and joining us here on the WTIM Morning Show. Let's take a break, and then when we come back, we'll talk about some other things going on with the Prevention Coalition right here on the WTIM Morning Show on your information station.
Your information station, WTIM.
Spring just has a way of putting a little more energy into everything. Brighter days, warmer air, and more reasons to get out and enjoy it. Your home should keep up with that. At Hickory Point Garden Homes, you'll have your own one-story duplex with bright open spaces, a private patio, and neighborhood walking paths just outside your door for that perfect stroll in the spring sunshine. You can spend less time managing your home and more time enjoying the warm spring days ahead. See what that feels like at Hickory Point Garden Homes in Forsyth, Illinois, and step into comfortable living for $55 and better.
Hi, this is Julie Sanchez with People's Bank and Trust. Hola, mi nombre es Julie Sanchez con People's Bank and Trust, and I am here to share information about our Save by Spending program. Save by Spending, round up, where we round your debit card purchase to the next dollar and put that change in your savings account. Also, our Save by Spending rewards program. You can earn cash back on all qualifying signature-based debit card purchases. Call 888-PBT-1954 and learn more about Save by Spending programs. At People's Bank and Trust, we put you and your savings first. People's Bank and Trust, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
Of the 2024 construction projects by Christian County businesses, those businesses saved an estimated $370,000 in sales tax by utilizing the county's enterprise zone. Through the efforts of the Christian County Economic Development Corporation over the past 20 plus years to establish and grow the county's enterprise zone, new and existing businesses in the county can save significantly in sales taxes. Find out how they can help your business by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com. The Christian County Economic Development Corporation is moving Christian County forward.
Get ready for an action-packed week at the 2026 Christian County Fair, July 21st through 25th in Taylorville, Illinois. Come out for all the fair excitement. Friday night, July 24th. It's not one, but two country superstars in the grandstand, featuring country sensation Gary Allen.
Nothing on but the radio.
And special guest Mark Chestnut.
I'm going through the big thing and don't mean that.
For a complete fair schedule and to get your tickets now, go to thechristiancountyfair.com.
Since 1938, Shelby Electric Cooperative has connected our communities when others wouldn't. Today, Shelby Fiber is bringing fast, reliable, future-ready internet to underserved areas. See if Shelby Fiber is available in your neighborhood. Click the Shelby Fiber banner at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
To learn more about Rolling Meadows Senior Living in Taylorville and the apartments they have available, click on their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Parents, your Christian County Health Department at 730 North Pawnee in Taylorville offers back-to-school immunizations at little or no cost for kindergarten, 6th, 11th, or 12th grade. Get details by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
At First National Bank in Taylorville, switching banks isn't a hassle. It's easy by real people who care. Find out why they've been first every time for over 70 years by clicking their icon at TaylorvilleDailyNews.com.
Your information station, WTIM.
We're back on the WTIM morning show on your information station. It's sponsored by People's Bank and Trust, where they put people first. I'm your host, Reed Kamai, and we're going to wrap up the conversation here with Chase Hallbrook and Nick Banning of the Christian County Prevention Coalition. We've got a couple of things to talk about before the end of this part of the show. The back to school resource fair coming up in just over a week from now. You folks are going to be at that.
Yeah. So we got a back to school event at the YMCA. I'll just name a few things that we're going to be having. So for the kids, we're going to have a cookout. We're going to have Kona Ice. We're going to have music, health and resource vendors, free haircuts for the kids, free produce, free vision and hearing exams, and also school supplies. And I think they're even going to have a little petting zoo for the kids. So,
okay, cool. Yeah, no, that sounds exciting. And I think a petting zoo will draw in plenty of folks as well. So resource fair, August 1st, you said?
Yes.
Okay, August 1st.
11 to 2.
All right, yeah, 11 to 2. And looking forward to that. And then in October, you've got an event. It sounds like it's called Fall into Recovery.
It is. So, can't give out all the good details of it yet, but it's going to be October 17th from 10 to 2 at Davis Memorial. And we're trying to make it a good, big event. I think somebody, might not be us, is going to come in September, be on here, and should be able to say a few more things about that then, though. So, but just kind of want to get it out there that we're going to have a recovery event on the 17th of October. So.
All right. So looking forward to hearing more about that when you folks come in next time. And then you've also got your monthly meetings, not twice monthly like I may have originally insinuated earlier. So monthly meetings, a minute to go. Tell our listeners about that.
Yeah. So we gather at the library from 12 to 1. When is it? When did you say it's the third Thursday
of every month?
Third Thursday of every month. So that date can differ from month to month, but our next one is going to be August 13th. When we plan our events, we meet a little bit early, and that's usually anywhere from 11 or 11:30, and then our regular meeting is from 12 to 1. And we just kind of want to invite anybody in the community. We want you to be a part of it, and any organizations, businesses that would like to get involved, we'd love to have you. Come check it out, come see what we do. We're trying to get this thing growing because it's going to help the community.
The probation office is involved, the law enforcement's involved.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that as well. We are just about out of time, sadly. Chase Hallbrook, Nick Banning, thank you both for coming on.
Thank you.
And thank you for listening here on the WTIM Morning Show. More in about 10 minutes' time.
With SRN News, I'm John Scott. Tropical storm Bertha made landfall in Louisiana and was southwest of New Orleans while moving west toward Texas early this morning after closing beaches on the